Good day and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to today's education based IHSAA Varsity Boys Baseball game. This radio coverage is made possible through audiosportsonline.net. That's ASO, that's Rob Kendall. Rob Kendall from The Kendall and Casey Show, weekday mornings, 9 to noon on 93.1 FM, or go to WIBC.com. Today's ball game features the visiting team, the Central Catholic Knights, and the home team, the Lebanon Tigers. Playing this game at Memorial Field here in Lebanon. What a beautiful day. Said it was going to get up to about 57 degrees. I think it reached that degree. And pretty good atmosphere right here, especially in the press box. Gentlemen and hospitality throughout. The umpires are having a meeting with themselves right now. They're talking about the field. There's going to be two umpires, and ought to be a good game here in the works here at Lebanon. Tell you what, this game happening at the park. They take good care of their facility, have good chlorophyll in the grass. The dirt is manicured perfectly. Looks like a good event going to happen here today. We thank you for tuning in, and we'll mention a little bit about each school. We'll mention, as we did, Central Catholic Knights, Lebanon Tigers. Good ball game. Looking forward to here today. And we'll mention a little bit about each school. We'll mention for the visiting team, Lafayette Central Catholic Knights. They're Class 2A, Sectional 37. There are 7 in their sectional. Their sectional consists of Benton Central, Delphi Community, Lafayette Central Catholic, North Montgomery, Rensselaer Central, Seeger, Western Boone. The principal at Central Catholic High School is Darrell Beck. The director of athletics is Tim Bourdonnais. Lafayette Central Catholic High School is located at 2410 South 9th Street, Lafayette, Indiana, 47909. You can dial them by phone at 765-474-2496. On the web, it's lccathletics.com. They wear the colors navy and white, and they perform in the Hoosier Conference. The head coach is Tim Bourdonnais. He's a 1987 graduate from Central Catholic. The home team on the scoreboard, that's the Lebanon Tigers. They're in Class 3A, Sectional 25. There are 7 in their sectional. Their sectional consists of Brebeuf Jesuit, Crawfordsville, Danville, Frankfort, Guerin Catholic, Lebanon, the Lebanon Tigers, and Tri-West. The principal at Lebanon Tiger High School is Frank Meyer, the director of athletics. He was most instrumental for putting me in sports. We are thankful for Mr. Phil Levine. They're having an umpire meeting right there at home plate, exchanging playing cards right there. I should say their lineup cards. And I'm right beside me is Joe. Joe going to be the public address. He's got a wonderful voice. He'll do a great job. And we do thank you for tuning in. And I'm looking like they're going to looking right there, and I'm talking it over around home plate. Both teams have had ample warm up. Both teams have had infield, outfield practice, and both teams hovering around their own dugouts right now. The Knights going to occupy the first base dugout, and third base dugout occupied by the home team, Lebanon Tigers. So they're getting ready for baseball, and we'll mention this game is in part being brought to you today by McCormick Printing. Before we dive back into action, we want to spotlight a business that's been printing success in our community for 50 incredible years. McCormick Printing Impressions. From business cards to banners, t-shirts to office supplies, MPI is your local full-service print shop, delivering quality, great service, and creativity in every project. Family owned and operated for 2 generations, MPI knows that your first impression matters. So they make sure it's a good one. Next time you need something printed with perfection, turn to MPI because at McCormick Printing Impressions, they don't just print, they help you make your best impression. So that's McCormick Printing. And they're still talking about the infield umpire meeting right there. They're talking about what could happen, what may happen, where the ball could get out of bounds. They're talking about the right field line. The right field line, the foul fence, doesn't go completely connected, doesn't connect exactly with the foul pole there in right field. In left field, it's just a little bit left of the baseline all the way out to the home run fence. And they're talking that over right now. Bullpen areas, both bullpen areas deep in the down the foul line and both sides. And I will mention also bringing you tonight's contest is AGM Auto, AGM Auto LLC. At AGM Auto, you'll not only be treated with pure professionalism, you'll appreciate their state-of-the-art diagnostics and their up-to-date status on each of the AGM technicians. And AGM doesn't only work under the hood. AGM works toward the recovery and restoration of the many now beautiful cars, which are and have now become showroom treasures mechanically and cosmetically. To contact AGM Auto, dial them up at 317 984 5283. That's 317 984 5283. AGM Auto, just west of Arcadia. You can reach them on Facebook at AGM Auto LLC.
To Memorial Field for IHS
Public address, Mr. Joe.
Opening day for the Lebanon Tigers. Tonight's game features the Lafayette Central Catholic Knights and your Lebanon Tigers. Let's meet the starting lineups for today's game. We begin with Lafayette Central Catholic. Leading off for LCC. Playing second base, wearing number 9, Hudson Gutwine. Gutwine playing second. Batting second for LCC. Playing right field, number 12, Alex Schumer. Schumer in right. Batting third for Central Catholic. Playing first base, number 10, Lucas Gerke. Gerke playing first. Batting fourth for Lafayette Central Catholic, the shortstop wearing number 11, Mikey Stapleton. Stapleton at short. Check 1, 2. Playing third base, batting fifth, number 33, DJ Gilkey. Gilkey playing third. Very good afternoon to you. The Lafayette Central Catholic designated hitter, number 3, Jackson Kane. Kane, the DH. Playing defensively for the designated hitter, number 7, Cooper Renbeck at catcher. Renbeck catching. Batting seventh for LCC, number 41, playing left field, Brennan Van Kirk. Van Kirk in left. Pitching for the Knights, number 14, Jonah Gerke. Gerke pitching. And batting ninth for Lafayette Central Catholic, the catcher. Correction, playing center field, number 25, Vince Talenko. Talenko in center field. The head coach for Lafayette Central Catholic is Tim Bourdonnais. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now let's meet the starting lineup for your Lebanon Tigers. Leading off for LHS in center field, junior, number 24, Owen Taylor. Playing left field, a senior wearing number 4, Joe Susong. Susong in left. Playing second base for the Tigers, wearing number 2, a senior, Bryce Nelson. At shortstop for your Tigers, wearing number 7, a senior, Jamel Philippi. In right field, wearing number 8, a junior, Nate Coons. The Tiger DH, Jackson Cadle. Playing defensively for Cadle. Catching, Garrett Adams. Batting seventh for your Tigers. At third base, number 5, Riley Smith. On the mound for LHS, a junior wearing 16, Luke Dunshee. Playing first base, rounding out your Tigers, Batting lineup, number 14, Willie Shelton. Head coach for your Tigers, Mr. Riley Benner. Officials for tonight's contest, umps Trent Ross and Michael Jefferson. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're able at this time, please stand and remove your hats. We are going to honor our country with the playing of our national anthem.
I'll sing it if you have trouble. I'll sing it. That was our national anthem. Never sounded better. We'll mention ball game here on the agenda. Out on taking the field right now, Lebanon Tigers. They're going to get some warm-up tosses. Doing the pitching today for Lebanon, number 16, Luke Dunshee. Luke Dunshee, we'll mention Luke Dunshee, a member of the junior class. He's a pitcher and an outfielder. He's got some velocity right there. He's a catcher. His battery partner is Garrett Adams, wears number 6. At first base, number 14, Willie Shelton. At second base, number 2, Bryce Nelson. At shortstop, that's number 7, Jamil Philippi. At third base is number 5, Riley Smith. In left field, number 4, Joe Susong. In center field, 24, Owen Taylor. In right field, number 8, Nate Coons. The designated hitter in the ballgame for Lebanon starting out will be number 19, Jackson Cadle. So we'll hope that Ryan Gerke is able to be here. If he's not here, we'll hope he's able to listen to the ballgame. And we'll mention the lineup for the Knights. They'll bat first. The Knights will bat like this. Batting first will be number 9, Hudson Gutwine. Batting second will be number 12, Alex Schumer. Batting third will be number 10, Lucas Gerke. Batting fourth will be Mikey Stapleton. He'll wear number 11. Batting fifth will be number 33, DJ Gilkey. Batting sixth will be number 3, Jackson Kane. Jackson Kane will be batting in the DH spot. He'll give way to defensive player Cooper Renback. He'll be the catcher. Wear number 2. Batting seventh will be number 41, Brennan Van Kirk. He'll play left field. Batting eighth will be number 14, Jonah Gerke. He'll do the pitching. And batting ninth, number 25, center fielder Vince Talenko stepping in. First batter of the ball game, the leadoff batter is Hudson Gutwine. Working from the windup right-handed pitcher, Luke Dunshee. 1 foot on the rubber, 1 foot off. Here comes the first pitch. Low and outside, 6:06 p.m. Ball 1. Early going, just getting started. Knights and the Tigers. Peering in, looking at signals. Gonna lick the fingers while standing on the rubber. It's gonna be a ball call. They might assess a ball on the batter. There's nobody on base. A position umpire gonna walk towards the pitcher, gonna have a conversation. He might just give a warning. We'll see. I don't think it's anything big, but he got an education right there from the 8 position umpire. We'll see what they're going to say. They're going to get a new baseball in the ball game. We'll see if they ask for a ball on the scoreboard. Count is 1-0 before that particular stop in play. And he's going to step back in. 1 ball, no strikes. Stepping back in, Hudson Gutwein. Peering in, looking at signals. Here comes the wind. Here comes the pitch from Dunshee outside a ball. 2 balls, no strikes. Right-handed batter, Hudson Gutwein. Straightaway stance. Peering in, looking at signals. Luke Dunshee. Here comes the wind and the pitch. A strike called outside edge. Count goes 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike. You'll step back in. Peering in, looking at signals. Standing straight up on the rubber right there is Dunshee. Peering in, looking at signals. Glove in front of the chest area. Peering in, looking at signals. Right-handed batter, Hudson Gutwein. Long peer. Here comes the wind and the pitch. High and tight. They did assess a ball during that balk. Dunshee licked his fingers while in contact with the rubber and then dried off. But anyway, so ball 4. So a 4-1 count, and he'll go to first base. Hudson Gutwein at first. Next batter taking signals right there. Third base coach, left-handed batter, is Alex Schumer. Working from the stretch. Dunshee out of the set. Here comes the pitch. Right across the dish. Fastball for a strike. Strike called. And he'll step back in the rubber. Dunshee going to peer in, look at signals. Modest lead at first base for Gutwein. Looks over to first base, out of the stretch. Checks again, now out of the set position. Pickoff move. First base, pretty good move for a first try at first base. Probably a B+ or maybe an A. Not too far away from an A+. He'll peer in, working from the stretch, looking at signals from catcher Garrett Adams. Left-handed batter's box, Alex Schumer. Still peering in, looks at first base. Now out of the set, here comes the pitch. Taking off for second base is Gutwein. Throw comes down. He's going to make it safe at first. The pitch was a ball inside. Count goes 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes. So at second base is Gutwein. Stepping back in, left-handed batter, Alex Schumer. Peering in, looking at signals. Out of the stretch, Luke Dunshee. Long peer. Now out of the set position, checks second base. Here's the pitch. Swung on, ground ball up the middle. Good play at shortstop. He'll come across the bag there in second base territory. And Jamil Philippi throws a strike to first base. Willie Shelton, there's 1 out.
Now batting for Central Catholic, number 10, Lucas Gerke.
Moving Hudson Gutwein to third base. With 1 out, stepping in, number 10, Lucas Gerke, playing first base in the ball game. Working out a stretch, now the set. Here comes the pitch. Breaking pitch right across the home plate. Strike 1. So he'll step out of the box, not far. Pick up signals. Third base coach, Coach Bourdonnais. Left-handed batter, working out the stretch, now the set. Here comes the pitch from Luke Dunshee. Strike 2. Inside edge. Fastball. Count goes 0-2 to Gerke. Peering in, looking at signals. Long peer. Getting from catcher Garrett Adams. Out of the set position. Here comes the pitch. Swung on, ground ball near first base. Going to make the play. Long way to go, and he'll get the tag the base just in time before Gerke reaches first, but it's going to be an RBI. Coming in to score from third base, Hudson Gutwein. And the Knights have 1 run on the scoreboard. So 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. Next batter stepping in for the Knights. Where's number 11? Four-hitter Mikey Stapleton. Stapleton playing the shortstop position, working from the windup. Here comes a wind and a pitch from Dunshee. Swing and a miss. Healthy cut, came up empty. 0-1 count to Stapleton. Going to pitch from this wind up again. Going to manicure the dirt there. Dunshee looking in. Here comes the wind. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. Fouled back, out of play. Count goes 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes. Mikey Stapleton steps back in for the Knights. Back on the rubber is Luke Dunshee for the Lebanon Tigers. Peering in, looking at signals. Here comes the wind and the 0-2 pitch. Swung on, foul ball, back out of play. Pretty good velocity. And I'm right behind the baseball, just underneath it, is Stapleton. So not too cold out there. Getting some moisture in that right hand does Dunshee. Absolutely. Gotta have the grip. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Strike 3. They're gonna call him out on strikes. Outside edge. And the Knights are out of the inning. Knights pick up 1 run. They got 1 hit. Take that back. It was a base on balls. Put Gutwein at first base. And after 1/2 inning, it's 1-0. And the Lebanon Tigers going to come to the plate. We'll mention another support sponsor of tonight's ball game is Reynolds Farm Equipment. Family owned and operated since 1955. You can increase your yield. Tractors, combines, corn pickers, lawn mowers, etc. Genuine John Deere parts, John Deere equipment. New and used equipment available. Extraordinarily the best in the business. That's Reynolds. Visit them at the Atlanta, Indiana location. That location, 1451 East, 276th Street, Atlanta, Indiana, 46031, just 2 miles south of the Tipton-Hamilton County Road. That's 296th Street. And you go right, US on 31, right there. We'll mention 5 locations, Reynolds Farm Equipment. Reach Reynolds Farm Equipment by dialing 800-333-6947. That's 800-333-6947. To reach their Atlanta, Indiana store, 317-758-4116. So they get some warm-up tosses right there. Pitching today for the Central Catholic Knights is Jonah Gerke. Jonah Gerke wears number 14. Jonah Gerke, a member of the sophomore class. So we'll mention the pitcher, Jonah Gerke. His battery partner, the catcher, is Cooper Renbach. He wears number 2. And we'll double check that number here in a moment. He's going to throw one down to second base. At first base is Lucas Gerke, wears number 10. Second base, Hudson Gutwein, number 9. Shortstop, Mikey Stapleton, number 11. DJ Gilkey at third base, number 33. In left field, 41, Brennan Van Kirk. Center field, number 25, Vince Telenko. In right field, number 12, Alex Coomer. First batter going to step in for the Lebanon Tigers. Going to be number 24, Owen Taylor. He's the center fielder. Right-handed batter stepping in. A little bit of an open stance, not much on the instep. Here comes the first pitch from Gerke. Swung on, swing and a miss. No balls, 1 strike. Steps back in. Peering over the glove. 1 foot on the rubber, 1 foot off. Right-handed pitcher, Jonah Gerke. Pitch comes in, a ball high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Step back on the rubber. Cooper Renbach wearing number 7 in today's ball game. Here comes a pitch. He's the catcher. Third base fielded right there across the diamond. DJ Gilkey to Lucas Gerke. There's 1 out here in the bottom of the first inning. So next batter for the Lebanon Tigers. Going to step in. Where's number 2? Bryce Nelson. Let me double check that. Joe Susong wears number 4. Joe Susong, he is the left fielder, batting in the second position. Here comes the wind in the pitch from Gerke. They're going to call it a strike. Outside edge. Joe Susong, right-handed batter, steps back in wearing the molded cleats. Pretty light way to go for the foot. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Outside a ball. Just above the zone. Gets by the catcher. Renback. Count goes 1-1. Back on the rubber, peering in, looking for signals. Picking him up, Jonah Gerke doing the pitching. Here comes the wind and the pitch. You're going to fly one to the left field. It's going to back up the left fielder, veering to the right. It's actually going to be caught as he comes in to make the catch. I believe it might have been in right there on the line, might have been a foul ball. If it had dropped, there's 2 outs. 2 outs here in the inning. Stepping in, number 2, Bryce Nelson. Bryce Nelson, second baseman, bats in the 3 spot. Right-handed batter. Here comes the wind and the pitch from Gerke. Outside the ball, might have been a breaking pitch. 1 ball, no strikes. Peering back over the glove right there. Here comes the pitch from Gerke. High for ball 2. Bryce Nelson, second baseman for the Tigers. Right-handed batter's box. Peering in, looking for signals once again. Gerke, here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Count goes 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike. Peering in over the glove. Working from the windup, here comes the 2-1 pitch. High for ball 3. 3 balls, 1 strike. To the 3-hitter. Number 4, Joe Susong. Plays left field for the Tigers. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Going to call that a strike. Going to call it a strike. Top of the zone. And the count goes full at 3-2. Stepping back on the rubber. Wind up. Here comes the 3-2 pitch. Swung at it. Swing and a miss. Goes down on strike. He'll jog back to the dugout. Bryce Nelson. And after 1 inning of play, Central Catholic 1, Lebanon 0. We'll also mention today's ball game is in part being brought to you by Fritz and Fishers. Fritz and Fishers, Fritz in Noblesville, celebrating 43 years in business. In the heart of the Nickel Plate District, late model cars and trucks, each vehicle pre-delivery inspection. 2 Hamilton County locations. Go to fritzandfishers.com. Fishers, Indiana at 8599 East 116th Street, 317-842-2228. In Noblesville on State Road 32, fritzandfishers.com works for that domain also. Their phone number at Noblesville on 32 is 317-773-2232. fritzandfishers.com. So I'm going to throw one down to second base. Catcher Garrett Adams taking the throw. Right there, shortstop Jamil Philippi. So they get it back to the pitcher. And then they're going to ask a batter to step in. Who walked briskly up there. That's 33, DJ Gilkey. Bats in the 5 spot. DJ Gilkey playing third base for the Knights. Left-handed batter. Peering in, looking at signals from the windup. Luke Dunshee. Here comes the pitch. He'll take one the other way. He'll go to the left field. It's going to drop. It's going to get by the left fielder. He'll pick it up before the warning track. And DJ Gilkey safe at second base with a double on the first pitch here in the top of the 2nd inning. DJ Gilkey leading the Knights in batting average at .500. He's now got 2 hits on the season. He's got a single and a double. So stepping into bat is Jackson Kane. Jackson Kane not quite yet ready to play defensively. He'll be back soon playing the offensive position, DH for the Knights. Albacete, Dunshee checks second base. He'll step off the back of the rubber, and he'll reset in the rubber. He'll peer in, look at signals from the stretch from Garrett Adams. Runner at second base for the Knights is DJ Gilkey. Pickoff move. second base. Back safely is Gilkey. Clockwise move right there for Luke Dunshee. He'll step back in. Jackson Kane. Right-handed batter, straightaway stance. Peering in, looking at signals. Luke Dunshee. Albacete checks second. Here's the pitch. Jackson Kane going to bunt one down the third baseline. It's going to be fielded by Riley Smith. No play made, no play available. By that time, Jackson Kane was at first base. So runners at first and third base as Gilkey moves from second to third. So a good bunt down the third baseline, stayed in the dirt. That dirt lane right there, about 18 inches inside the third base and first base line. So first and third base stepping in for the Knights, 41, Brennan Van Kirk. Van Kirk, the left fielder in the ball game. Straightaway stance, right-handed batter. Peering in, looking at signals. Luke Dunshee. Long pier. Getting the signals from Garrett Adams. And staying in the box right there is Brandon Van Kirk, and now he will call timeout. Timeout granted. He steps out. They'll reset. Pitcher kind of controls the pace of the game. Stepping back in, Van Kirk looking for signals. Luke Dunshee out of the set position. Here comes the pitch. Strike call, taken off for second base, and they're going to throw it back to the pitcher. Quick throw back to the pitcher, and I'm safe at second for the Knights. So runners at second and third. Kane at second base, and Gilkey at third base. Nobody out. Top of the second inning. One run in for the Knights in the first inning. Peering in, looking at signals. Luke Dunshee out of the set. Here comes the pitch. Breaking pitch, just misses. May have been above the zone. And count goes 1-1. So peering in, looking for signals again. Luke Dunshee stepping in, batter's box. Right there is Brennan Van Kirk. Long pier looking for signals. Runners at second and third base for the Knights. Top of the second inning. Long pier now out of the set position. Here comes the pitch. Swing and a miss. Top of the zone, swing and a miss. Van Kirk. And they're saying it's 1-1 now. So 1 ball, 1 strike. And they're going to ask Van Kirk to step in the batter's box. The IHSAA prefers you have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Take signals. Move the game along. Here comes the pitch from Dunshee. Outside a ball. So 2-1 count. Stepping back in the rubber is Luke Dunshee. Right-handed batter's box. Brennan Van Kirk. Here comes the pitch. Above the zone, ball 3. 3 balls, 1 strike. Runners at second and third base. Top of the second inning. Memorial Park. Beautiful day. They said 57 degrees. Out of the set, here comes the pitch. Going to take one the other way. It's going to get the grass between second and first base. Pitch comes in. Going to score a run. DJ Gilkey will cross the plate. And a base hit, RBI, off the bat of Brennan Van Kirk. Jackson Kane moves to third base. Taking about a timeout right there. Stepping out in front of the plate is Garrett Adams. He'll give directions to the infield. He'll call the play. So they accept the play, and at first base, Brennan Van Kirk. Jackson Kane at third base, stepping into bat. The 8-hitter, number 14, Jonah Gerke. Gerke is the pitcher in the ball game. That's Jonah Gerke. Working from the stretch. Checks first base. Out of the set. Pickoff move. Pretty good throw once again. No tag applied by Willie Shelton. Back safely is Van Kirk. So in the batter's box, Jonah Gerke. Peering in, looking at signals, checking first base a couple of times out of the stretch. Going to pick up a signal now. Third time out of the set position. Here comes the pitch. Going to call it a strike inside half. Might have been knee high. So no balls, 1 strike. I'm going to call a double check here. And I'm stepping in the rubber. Once again, it's Luke Dunshee. Checks first base. Now out of the set position. Here comes the pitch. Breaking pitch. Got the plate. Might have been a slider. Looked like a backdoor curveball. Taken off for second base is Van Kirk. And Garrett Adams fakes a throw to second base. So right-handed batter's box. Right there is Jonah Gerke. Runners at second and third base. Working out a stretch. Now the set. Here comes the pitch. The foul one back to the screen. So 2 strikes on Van Kirk. He'll step back in. Peering in, looking at signals. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here comes the pitch from Dunshee. Going to foul one left side out of play. Left-handed batting, Jonah Gerke. Second and third base for the Knights. Nobody out here in the top of the second inning. Out of the set, here comes the pitch. You're going to foul another one. Left side out of play. So they're going to need some baseballs. Home plate umpire. 3-2 count is on the scoreboard. Working out a stretch. Now the set. Here comes the pitch. Could be a ground ball. Could be fielded by third baseman. He'll pick it up. He'll look for the pitcher. Couldn't pick it up. And a good glove right there by Willie Shelton. Fell out of the glove. Tried to pick it up and try to beat him to first base. And safe at first is Gerke. Going to be an RBI for Gerke in the scorebook. And I'm coming in to score for the Knights is TJ Gilkey. Going to call a timeout on the diamond. Coach going to walk out, talk with his pitcher, Luke Dunshee. And Coach Riley Benner, very courteous. Appreciate him. Answered an email last night. Very kind gentleman. So he gives some words of encouragement and wisdom to the coach, Luke Dunshee. So next batter in the lineup, going to be the 9-hitter, 25, Vince Talenko, playing center field. Right-handed batter, straightaway stance. Runners at first and third base for the Knights. Peering in, looking at signals. Dunshee, out of the stretch, he'll check first. Out of the set, here comes the pitch. Outside a ball. Going to get by the glove of Garrett Adams. Coming in to score from third base is 41, Brendan Van Kirk. So moving to second base is Jonah Gerke. And I'm going to jog back to the pitcher's rubber. That's 16, Luke Dunshee. Working from the stretch, peering in, looking at signals. Jonah Gerke at second base. Nobody out. Top of the second inning. Out of the set. Check second base. Here comes the pitch. Going to try to get a bunt down. Pulled the bat back as a ball low and outside. Ball 1. So 1 ball, no strikes. Stepping back in. Right-handed batter, Vince Talenko. 1 foot in the box, 1 foot out. Looking for signals. Third base coach, Tim Bourdonnais. Runner at second base, Jonah Gerke. Peering in, looking at signals, out of the stretch. Dunshee. Now the set position. He'll check second base. Here comes the pitch from Dunshee. Square to bunt. Outside. Pulls the bat back. Ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Home plate umpires kind of emphasizing you got to stay around home plate. You can't be too far away. Trying to keep the game moving. IHSAA probably 3-4 years ago implemented that particular move. It's not a bad move. Out of the set position, going to step off the back. Dunshee. He was going to show a bunt early again. Vince Talenko. Dunshee stepped off the back. He'll step back in the rubber, getting signals from Garrett Adams. Squaring early. Pitch comes in. Pulled the bat back. Strike called. Right down meridian, about knee high. 2 balls. I believe they got a 3-1 count on the board. Out of the set position. Check second base. Checks again. Here's the pitch. They're going to put a bunt down. Going to go left side, fielded by Dunshee. He'll get the out at first base and moving the runner to third base. I should mention at third base is Keegan McCarter. He's doing the pinch running right there, McCarter. He's at third base. Where's number 27? And next batter going to step in, Hudson Gutwein. Gutwein, the leadoff batter in today's ball game. Gutwein on the season has played one game, 4 plate appearances, 3 at bats. He's batting .333 with the 1 hit. Here comes the pitch. Breaking pitch in there for a strike. No balls, 1 strike. 1 out, top of the second inning. And at third base, Keegan McCarter, the base runner. Here comes the pitch from Dunshee. Swing and a miss by Gutwein. Count goes 0-2. So let's step back in the rubber. Opens pretty much straightaway stance. Peering in, looking at signals. Luke Dunshee. Long pier, getting signals from Garrett Adams. Now the set position, checks third base. Here's the 0-2 pitch. It's going to be a hit by pitch. So pitch was inside. Got the back calf of the leg of Gutwein, and he'll jog to first base. Runners at first and third base. Next batter going to step in for the Knights, number 12, Alex Schumer. Alex Schumer going to step in. Schumer has played in 2 ball games, 7 plate appearances, 6 at-bats. Batting .333. He's got 2 hits on the season. So then a step in front of the plate again. Garrett Adams going to call signals out for the infield. Runners at first and third base. Peering in, looking at signals out of the stretch. Checks first base a couple of times. Now the set position for Dunshee. Left-handed batter, Alex Schumer. Long pier, long set position. He'll throw to first base, nonchalant. And Willie Shelton will apply a tag back safely. At first is Gutwein. Stepping back in, left-handed batter's box. Alex Schumer. Peering in, looking at signals out of stretch. Now the set. Pickoff move again as he steps off the back of the rubber this time. To Shelton. Shelton gets the ball back to Dunshee. Peering in once again, runners at first and third base. Alex Schumer going to square early to bunt. Out of a set position. Dunshee in a long set position. Here's the pitch. Going to be a called strike. He'll pull the bat back. And then taking second base on the pitch is Hudson Gutwein. Runners at second and third base. 1 out, top of the second inning. No balls, 1 strike. Out of the set, here's the pitch from Dunshee. Breaking pitch finishes above the zone. Ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Alex Schumer, left-handed batter, working from the stretch, facing the righty. Luke Dunshee, here's the pitch. Outside half, knee high, strike called. Count goes 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, steps back in. Peering in, looking at signals. Dunshee out of the set position. Here comes the pitch. You're going to foul 1 back to the screen. So we'll stay in the box with that 1-2 count. On deck for the Knights is number 10, Lucas Gerke. 1-2 count out of the set position. Here comes the 1-2. Going to foul another one. Left side. Might have went out of play. So the count remains. I believe it's 2-2 on the board. It's a 1-2 count. Home plate umpire lets us know. Out of the set, working out of the stretch is Dunshee. Now the set. Here comes the pitch. You're going to take 1 back up the middle, going to get the grass. Right side of second base, picked up in center field by Owen Taylor. Knights are going to score 2 on the base hit by Alex Schumer. And then right there, Gutwein going to score. And Alex Schumer gets a double to center field.
night, number 10, Lucas Gerke.
Stepping into bat, number 10, Lucas Gerke, playing first base. Lucas Gerke had 2 ball games, both games, 7 plate appearances, 6 at-bats, batting .333. Here comes the first pitch, outside half, knee-high, strike called. Gerke at .429 on-base percentage. He's got 2 hits on the early season. Out of a set position, pickoff move, first base, back safely is Schumer, head first. Applying the tag a bit late there, but anyway, Willie Shelton, you never know. You never know if the tag's going to be good, according to the runner. So peering in, looking at signals. He'll step off the back of the rubber. He'll step back in, checks first base a couple times out of the stretch. Now the set, here's the pitch. Pitch comes in, a ball. So 1 foot in the box, 1 foot out. Lucas Gerke taking signal, steps back in, taps the plate. Left-handed batter facing the righty. Luke Dunshee out of the set, pickoff move, first base, back safely is Schumer. Late tag applied there by Willie Shelton. He wears number 14 at first base. Peering in, looking at signals once again. Luke Dunshee, now the set position. Here's the pitch. He's going to drive one left side. He's going to float out of play. Dunshee, quick bat through the zone. Pretty good velocity. Luke Dunshee. Dunshee pitching as a junior class member. 2 balls, 1 strike. Stretch right there, Dunshee. Ball's made live, out of the set position. Here comes the pitch. They're called foul ball. And might have got the thigh, not so sure, but Garrett Adams, that got him. He acted like nothing ever happened. So 2 balls, 2 strikes. Lucas Gerke taps the plate. Working out a stretch. Now the set. Nonchalant pickoff move that steps back off the rubber. Dunshee and Shelton applies a tag late, just in case. 2-2 on the scoreboard. There's 1 out. Top of the second inning. 1 runner aboard for the Knights. Working out a stretch. Now the set. Here comes the pitch. Be a foul ball. Going to go off the leg of Gerke. And then the batter's box. He's going to shrug it off, and he's going to stay right there around home plate. So, waiting for activity right here. Home plate umpire says it's 1-2 count. Working from a stretch. Ball's made live. Luke Dunshee checks first base. Out of the stretch. Now the set. Here's the pitch. Low for a ball. Taken off for second base. No throw at second base now. Alex Schumer. So 1 ball, 2 strikes. 1 out. Peering in, looking at signals out of the stretch. Luke Dunshee out of the set position. He'll check second. Nobody holding him on. Pitch comes in. Foul ball. Left side out of play. So Lucas Gerke protecting the zone. Peering in, looking at signals. Dunshee. From Garrett Adams, the catcher. Check second base out of set. Checked it twice. Swung on. He's going to pop one up on the infield. Going to be called for by the third baseman. And the catch is made by Riley Smith. So 2 outs here in the top of the second inning. And next batter going to step in for the Knights. Number 11, Mikey Stapleton. Mikey Stapleton has played in both games. 7 plate appearances, 7 at-bats. Mikey Stapleton has 3 hits. He's batting .429. That's also his on-base percentage. 7 times at the plate, 7 at-bats. First pitch comes in outside a ball. Might have been a breaking pitch. Count goes 1-0. 4-hitter Mikey Stapleton. Peering in, looking at signals. Out of the stretch, now the set position. Check second base. Here comes the pitch. Be a full swing, ground ball. Got to the dugout there, third base side. Coach reaches up, and barehanded the baseball, almost like he had a glove on. So 1 ball, 1 strike. He'll step back in the rubber. Peering in, looking at signals. Out of the set, he'll check second base. Hovering in second is second baseman Bryce Nelson as a foul ball out of play by Mikey Stapleton. 1-2 count. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Top of the second inning. Runner at second base for the Knights. Here comes the pitch. Outside a ball. Good play by catcher Garrett Adams as he slides to his right to block the short hop in his glove. So 2 balls, 2 strikes. Peering in, looking at signals. Dunshee. Long peer. He'll set position, check second. Check again. Here comes the pitch. Breaking pitch finishes high above the zone. 3-2 count. Knights batting in the top of the second inning. 2 outs. Stepping off the back of the rubber is Dunshee. He'll step back in the rubber. He'll peer in, look for signals from Adams. Out of the set position. Here comes the pitch. Gonna be a foul ball right there at home plate. Going to get the leg while he was in the box. Mikey Stapleton. So Stapleton shrugs it off like nothing happened. He stepped back in. 2 balls, 2 strikes on the scoreboard. He'll step off the back of the rubber. Going to lick the fingers. He'll dry off. He'll step back in. Working out a stretch. Check second. Here's the set. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Couldn't quite catch up to it, and that's going to be the 3rd out in the inning. And the Knights go down here in the second inning. Knights come up with 5 runs in the second. Top half of the second inning, we'll mention. Lebanon Tigers coming to bat. It's a 5-1 contest at the moment. And we also thank this person who mentioned he wants to be anonymous. Scott G. Scott G. will mention his support for baseball. It's when time is good. When you share, you should. Share and share alike. Support Indiana middle school and high school athletics. Baseball in the springtime here in Indiana. Getting some warm-up tosses on the pitcher's rubber is Jonah Gerke. And the Tigers getting ready to bat here in the bottom of the second inning. First batter going to step in. Going to be the shortstop, Jamil Philippi. Philippi will step in. We'll also mention tonight's ball game is in part being brought to you by Lisa Stokes Bear, Century 21. A real estate IQ that will work for the benefit of you. Lisa specializes in residential and corporate relocations. A vast knowledge with more than 25 years of question answering experience. Lisa Stokes Bear, let Lisa look, let Lisa list. Each home is precious. Lisa Stokes Bear, Century 21, Sheets Company, real estate agent, real estate broker. To contact Lisa Stokes Bear by phone or text message, 317-513-4086. Again, 317-513-4086. Stepping into bat for the Tigers, number 7, Jamil Philippi. Plays the shortstop position. Right-handed batter. A little bit of an open stance on the instep. First pitch from Gerke. High and I should say tight, but swung upon, strike 1. Fastball inside half. Stepping back in, Jamil Philippi. Working from the windup, Jonah Gerke. Breaking pitch. You'll say it got the inside half, strike 2. No balls, 2 strikes. Peering over the glove, working from the windup, 1 foot on the rubber, 1 foot off. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Tight pitch inside, ball 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Lebanon Tigers have some activity down the left field line in their bullpen. Here comes the 1-2 pitch from Gerke. Outside a ball. 2-2 count. 4-hitter, Jamil Philippi. Off the rubber, step on now, Jonah Gerke. 2-2 pitch. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Going to call it a strike. And he'll walk back to the dugout. And there's 1 out here in the bottom of the second inning. So next batter going to step in for Lebanon. Tiger batter number 8, Nate Coons. Nate Coons playing right field in today's ball game. Peering in over the glove. Here comes the wind. First pitch to Coons. Above the zone, ball 1. Right-handed batter, Nate Coons. Where's number 8? Out of the windup. Here comes a pitch from Gerke. High again. Higher above the zone, ball 2. 2-0 count to Nate Coons. He'll step back in. Here comes a wind and the 2-0 pitch. Strike called. Outside edge. Count goes 2-1. He'll step back in. Nate Coons. Nate Coons, right fielder. Here comes the pitch from Gerke. High and outside, ball 3. 3-1. The count on the right fielder, Nate Coons. He'll step back in. A little bit of a open stance. Not much. Here's the pitch. Healthy cut, swing and miss. Count goes full, 3-2 count. Right-handed batter, Nate Coons. Peering over the glove, looking for signals. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Foul 1, back to the screen. Just underneath the baseball, Nate Coons. He'll stay in the box with that 3-2 count. So stepping back in, working from the windup. Here comes the second 3-2 pitch. Foul another one, back to the screen. He'll have a third try at this 3-2 count. Nate Coons, right-handed batter for the Tigers. Peering over the glove. Here comes the wind and the pitch. He's going to take one to left field. Good drive. It's going to bounce in there. One hop in front of left fielder, Brennan Van Kirk. And fights off a lot of foul balls. Found one he likes. And then goes to left field. Nate Coons on the base pad. Next batter going to step in, Jackson Cadle. Jackson Cadle, he's the designated hitter. He's batting in place of defensive player, number 6, the catcher, Garrett Adams. Working from the stretch, peering in, looking at signals. Jonah Gerke out of the set position. Not a bad lead there at first base. Pitch comes in, strike called to Jackson Cadle. At first base, doing the running after a base hit, Nate Coons. He got a pretty good lead there. He looked like he may take off. Here comes the pitch from Gerke. Breaking pitch, misses outside. So they're going to ask if he checked swing. They said he did not go. They asked B position umpire, just left of the pitcher's rubber in the infield grass. So peering in, looking at signals. Looks at first base, now out of the set. Here comes the pitch, taken off for second base. Throw comes in there off target by Renback. And they're going to throw to third base as he tries to make his way in, and he will. Safe at third base is Nate Coons. So he steals second, steals third on the overthrow. And the Tigers have a runner at third base. So still in the batter's box, 19, Jackson Cadle. Jackson Cadle batting in the 6th position. Right-handed batter, a little bit of an open stance on the instep. Out of the set, here comes the pitch. Hit a foul one, right side, out of play. Got a lot of that sweet spot on that bat, that 14-inch sweet spot on an aluminum bat. 2-2 count. He'll step back in. Peering in, looking at signals. Jonah Gerke out of a set position. Here comes the 2-2. High for ball 3. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 1 out. Bottom of the 2nd inning. Peering in, looking at signals. Jonah Gerke out of the set. Here comes the pitch. He's going to pop one up on the infield. Be called for by the second baseman. And the catch is going to be made by Hudson Gutwein. There are 2 out.
Now batting for your Tigers, number 5, Riley.
So runner at third base for the Tigers. Got himself there legitimately with a base hit. First hit in the ball game for the Tigers. That's Nate Coons stepping into bat. Number 5, Riley Smith. Here comes the pitch. Outside a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Step back in. Right-handed batter, Riley Smith. Out set. Here comes a pitch from Gerke. You're going to put a bunt down. Going to go back to Gerke. He'll field it to his right, and he'll throw to first base, get the put out. And that will complete the second inning. And after 2 complete, Knights 6, Tigers 0. And we'll also mention today's ball game is in part being brought to you by Discount Copies. Discount Copies conveniently located at the west edge of Noblesville, Indiana. It's 46062. Just behind Pizza Hut and next to Bowl 32 along State Road 32. At Discount Copies, they provide setup services where you can turn your artwork into things like notepads, note cards, prints, and calendars. And it's never too early to think about personalized Christmas cards, posters, and oversized printing, also available. And if you're planning a wedding, they can print all of your necessary needs. You can reach Discount Copies by phone, 317-773-8783. That's 317-773-8783. Or by Gmail, Discount Copies, the number 96, at gmail.com. So the Knights getting ready to bat in the top of the third. Stepping out in front of the plate, Garrett Adams. Going to call some instructions out to the infield of the Lebanon Tigers. And getting warmed up right there on the pitcher's rubber. In the ball game, doing the pitching now for Lebanon is number 16. I should say continuing is Luke Dunshee. Tell what, they're doing some cooking downstairs, and it's kind of testing our noses, isn't it, Joe? Sure is. But I'm stepping into bat for the Knights. Number 33, DJ Gilkey, third baseman. 2 feet on the rubber. Here comes a wind in the pitch from Dunshee. Outside fastball for a ball. Ball low, working right there. Top of the third inning. Pitcher Luke Dunshee. He wears 16. Here comes the pitch. Swung on, ground ball. Fielded there at second base by Bruce Nelson. He'll throw over to Willie Shelton, get the put out. There's 1 out here in the top of the third.
1 down.
So the Knights going to send to the plate. It's going to be Jackson Kane. Jackson Kane, pretty much he's an athlete. If you've seen him, you would know. He likes the game of football, and he catches a lot of slides. And I tell you what, he's a good athlete. Here comes the pitch from Dunshee. Going to be a drive down the left field line, just foul. Left of the third baseline over third base. 0-1 count to Kane. No balls, 1 strike. He'll step not too far out of the box. He'll step in now. In the rubber, peering in, looking at signals. Luke Dunshee. Out of set. Here comes the pitch. You're going to foul 1 back to the screen. No balls, 2 strikes. He'll tighten those batting gloves up just a bit. He'll step back in. Working from the windup, Luke Dunshee. Nobody aboard. There's 1 out. Top of the third. Here comes a wind and the pitch from Dunshee. Above the zone, ball 1, I should say. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He'll step back in. 1-2, 1 out. Here comes a wind and the pitch from Dunshee. He's going to drive 1. He's going to drive 1. It's going to be skyward on the infield. Philippi at shortstop's going to call it. And he'll make the catch. That was a major league pop-up on the infield. There are 2 out.
2 outs.
2 outs here on the diamond. Stepping into bat, going to be number 41, Brennan Van Kirk. Van Kirk got himself aboard last time at the plate. Van Kirk on this early season in 2 ball games. Coming into tonight's ball game, 6 plate appearances, 6 at-bats, batting an even .500. Pitch comes in. He's going to put a bunt down. Third baseline. He's going to stay in the grass. And they're going to throw to first base after fielding it. Pitcher right there, Dunshee. But it's going to be a bunt base hit off the bat of 41, Brennan Van Kirk. Next batter going to step in for the Knights. Where's number 14, Jonah Gerke. Jonah Gerke, the pitcher in the ball game, left-handed batter. He'll step in. Jonah Gerke has played in 2 ball games, getting a pitcher's role here in this one. Out of a set position, pickoff move. He'll step off the back. Dunshee, nonchalant, over to Shelton. And back safely is Van Kirk. So it'll peer in out of the stretch. Now the set position. Dunshee, here's the pitch. Taking off for second base is Van Kirk. The throw, pretty line drive rope, but safe at second base is Van Kirk. Philippi took the throw. So Jonah Gerke going to step back in. Left-handed batter. Peering in, looking at singles. Luke Dunshee checks second base a couple times. Here's the pitch. Tight, inside and tight for a ball. Count goes 2-0. Runner at second base. Peering in, looking at signals. Out of the set. Here comes the pitch. Can be a ground ball. Second base, fielded there by Bryce Nelson. He'll throw over to first base, get the put out with Willie Shelton. And the Knights are retired here in the top of the third. After 2.5 innings. After 2.5, Knights 6, Tigers 0. And we'll also mention we thank support sponsored. Bringing you this contest in part is Honey Creek Resort. Honey Creek Resort, what a beautiful place to be. Plan your vacation or maybe a weekend getaway. Honey Creek Resort with 840 acres of fantastic nature, fun, and recreation adventures are only a 1 day's drive away. That's Honey Creek Resort in southern Iowa, where fellow Hoosiers Beth and Terry Henderson have an amazing lodge and cabins with fabulous fishing, boating, golfing, horse carriages, and much more. Truly amazing adventures and hospitality awaits you at honeycreekresort.com. honeycreekresort.com. Make your group, business, and family getaway plans. Make your reservations today. You can call them by dialing 641-724-1450. That's 641-724-1450. Honey Creek Resort in Iowa. Next batter in the lineup, Tigers going to send to the plate. Going to be the pitcher, number 16, Luke Dunshee. Dunshee going to step in on the pitcher's rubber still for the Knights. Jonah Gerke as they put the ball in his glove right there at the pitcher's rubber. So jogging back and behind the plate there, Cooper Renback. Renback was number 7. So stepping in, Luke Dunshee, number 16, right-handed batter. A little bit of a close stance on the instep. First pitch from Gerke. He'll foul one right side out of play. No balls, 1 strike. Bottom of the third inning. Memorial Park in Lebanon, Indiana. Working from the stretch. From the windup, here's the pitch. Breaking pitch in there for a strike. Count goes no balls, 2 strikes. Working from the windup, 1 foot on, 1 foot off, peering over the glove. Here comes the wind and the 0-2 pitch. Going to foul another one out of play. He'll stay in that box with the 0-2 count. Luke Dunshee does the pitching here in the ballgame for the Tigers. Working from the windup. Here comes the pitch. Check swing, 1 back, 2 hoppers. Right there to Gerke at the pitcher's rubber. He runs it out. Runs it out well, but he's retired at first base. Again, Gerke throws over to Lucas Gerke at first base. There's 1 out.
Number 14, Willie Shelton.
So next batter going to step in for the Lebanon Tigers, Willie Shelton. Willie Shelton going to step in. He wears number 14. He is the first baseman, left-handed batter. Pretty good stance right there. Pretty aggressive stance. Here's first pitch from Gerke. Outside half fastball, strike called. Left-handed batter's got a lot of energy. You can just see it. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Outside the ball. Also wearing the molded cleats. 1 ball, 1 strike. Peering over the glove. Jonah Gerke, here comes the pitch. High for a ball. 2 balls, 1 strike. 1 out. Again, a different ball in play there. It'll work from the windup. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Going to call it a strike. Inside half, top of the zone. Count goes 2-2. Both feet on the 1 foot on, 1 foot off the rubber. Peering over the glove, getting signals. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Outside a ball. 3-2 count. Willie Shelton, 9-hitter. Plays a good 9-hitter position. Here comes the pitch. Outside a ball. And he'll walk to first base. He'll jog down. And Shelton is aboard with 1 out.
24, Owen Taylor.
Next batter going to step in. He's the 1-hitter. Owen Taylor plays center field. Owen Taylor going to step in. Right-handed batter. As a sophomore, I tell you what, had some good outings. He's a junior class member now. And then first from the stretch, pickoff move. Owen Taylor, as a sophomore, he scored 9 runs. He got 40 plate appearances. And that was 32 official at-bats. You can tell he's got some veteranship. Peering in out of the stretch. Out of set position. Jonah Gerke, here's the pitch. Pitch comes in outside. Top of the zone, strike called. No balls, 1 strike. He'll step back in. Owen Taylor, leadoff batter. Should say the first batter in the lineup for the home team Tigers. Pickoff move, back to first base. Low pickoff throw, and it's fielded by Lucas Gerke. Made a good play. So checking the wristband right there. Owen Taylor. They must shout out the number system for their offensive set. Out of the set position. Gerke, here's the pitch. Breaking pitch in there for a strike. He'll throw to second base. Throw was on target. Sliding in head first, safe. Right there. Here's Willie Shelton. So Shelton draws a walk. He's now at second base. No balls. They're going to call timeout as Cooper Renback going to jog out and talk with his pitcher, Jonah Gerke. And we'll mention this game also in part being brought to you by Noblesville Trophies. Shop them online at noblesvilletrophies.com or stop in, if only to browse around. 1740 South 10th Street in Noblesville. So peering in, looking at signals. Jonah Gerke. Long peer. Out of set position, he'll check second base. Here comes the pitch. Breaking pitch finishes away. Ball 1. 1-2 count. 1-hitter for the Lebanon Tigers, number 24, Owen Taylor. Peering in, looking at signals. Long peer, now out of set position. Gerke. He'll check second. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Breaking pitch in there for a strike. Righty facing a righty. That's going to be a strike 3 called, evidently. So he'll walk back to the dugout. And there are 2 out. Here on the diamond, the bottom of the 3rd inning. Next batter going to step in. Number 4, Joe Susong. Susong second, playing left field. He's the second batter in the lineup for the Tigers. Peering in, looking at signals. Now out of the set. Gerke checks second. First pitch to Susong. Healthy cut, swing and a miss. No balls, 1 strike. He'll step back in. Right-handed batter. Joe Susong, another aggressive, good-looking stance for Susong. Out of the set, Gerke, he'll check second. Here's the pitch. He'll try to check that swing, but he'll swing full and coming over to third base. Head first slide at first base, Willie Shelton. So Shelton at third base. 1 ball, 1 strike. Number 4, Joe Susong. Peering in, looking at signals. Jonah Gerke. He'll pick the signal up. He'll go set position. Here comes the pitch. He's going to foul one right side. It's going to float. It's going to eventually go out of play as Lucas Gerke runs out of room. So foul ball. Count goes 0-2. He'll step back in. And they'll get a baseball replacement by the 3-hitter, Bryce Nelson. He's on deck. So no balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Ball's live. Runner at third base for the Tigers, Willie Shelton. Out of the set position. Here's the pitch. Outside of ball. Breaking pitch. Looked like a slider. Not a lot of full break there. Just misses outside. Count goes 1-2. He'll peer in, look at signals. Jonah Gerke out of the set position. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Pitch comes in. It's going to be a hit by pitch. Got him pretty close to the box here, pretty close over the plate, but they'll put him on first base. So Joe Susong at first and Willie Shelton at third. 2 outs. Bottom of the third inning. Next batter in line for the Tigers, number 2, Bryce Nelson. Second baseman for the Tigers. He'll step in. Right-handed batter. Bryce Nelson. Peering in, looking at signals. Is Jonah Gerke. His first pitch to Nelson, outside of ball. Bryce Nelson last year, as a junior, played in 25 ball games, batted .250. That was 87 plate appearances, 68 at bats. We're going to have a stretch, now the set. Here comes the pitch. Above the zone for a ball. Count goes 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes. Timeout on the diamond. Coach Bourdonnais going to walk out, talk with his group, and we'll finish this up. Shop them online. That's Noblesville Trophies. Shop online. That's NoblesvilleTrophies.com, or stop in, if only to browse around. 1740 South 10th Street, Noblesville. Trophies, awards, plaques, and more. Fast turnaround. Prices are low. So low you may want to be a repeat customer. That's Noblesville Trophies, 1740 South 10th Street, Noblesville, Indiana. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can reach them by phone at 317-773-7391 or online, NoblesvilleTrophies.com. Stepping into bat, where's number 2? Bryce Nelson. 2 balls, no strikes. Working from the windup or the stretch and going to throw it away at first base. And then crossing the plate, scoring the first run of the ball game for the Tigers is Willie Shelton. So Shelton scores. Loose throw at first base from Gerke. And Lucas Gerke couldn't field it. And then stepping in once again, number 2, Bryce Nelson. Peering in, looking at signals. Jonah Gerke. Gerke out of the stretch, now the set. He'll check second base. Here's the pitch. Gonna foul one, back to the screen. 2-1 count to Bryce Nelson. So right-handed batter taps the plate. Nelson steps in. Runner at second base, 2 outs. Bottom of the third inning, 1 run in. Out of the stretch, now the set. He'll check second base. Jonah Gerke. Here's the pitch. Low for ball 3. 3-1 count. So Bryce Nelson, right-handed batter's box. 6-1 contest here in the third inning. Tigers batting with 2 outs. Working out of the stretch, now the set. He'll check second base. Here's the pitch. Above the zone for ball 4. So he'll jog to first base. It's number 2, Bryce Nelson. Second baseman. Now Coming to the plate there is Jamil Philippi, as he'll take the bat upside down and draw something on the dirt before he steps in. He'll step in now. Runners at first and second base. Jamil Philippi, the batter's box, 2 outs. Out of a set position. Jonah Gerke checks second base, pickoff move. And a pretty good move right there, but back safely at second base. Right there. Tiger, runner, and a right-handed batter in the box is Philippi. Out of the set position, he'll check second. Time called. Jamil Philippi wanted time. He's granted time prior to any movement by Jonah Gerke. So 2 outs. 1 run in. Runners at first and second. Out of a set position. He'll check second base. Here comes the pitch. Above the zone for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Central Catholic visiting the Lebanon Tigers. Working from a stretch. Peering in, looking at signals. Out of the set position. Check second base. Here comes the pitch. Across the dish. Right below the kneecap. Strike called. 1-1 count. Right-handed batter Jamil Philippi. Plays the shortstop position. Peering in, looking at signals. Jonah Gerke out of a set, check second base. Here comes the pitch. Miss Short hop, good block there by Cooper Renback. Kept it in front of him. Everybody staying put. So timeout on the diamond. Hudson Gutwein going to call time, come in and have some words with Jonah Gerke. Talking some things over. And then 2-1 count. 2 outs. In the batter's box, the 4-hitter for the Tigers, Jamil Philippi. Ball's made live. Runner at second base and first base. 2 aboard for the Tigers. Here comes the 2-1 pitch from Gerke. High and above the zone, I should say. 3-1 count. Jamil Philippi. 3-1 count. Hitters count. That's what they say. Pitcher's got to either throw a strike or put him on first base. Here comes the stretch. Now the set position. Check second base. Here's the pitch. Going to take the pitch. It's going to be called ball 4. So he'll jog to first base. Philippi going to load the bases right there for the Tigers. Next batter in the lineup, number 8, Nate Coons. Nate Coons, a right fielder. He'll step in. Nate Coons, last time, got himself aboard. First hit out of the set position. Here comes the pitch. Healthy cut. Swing and a miss. No balls, 1 strike. Working on the stretch right there. Peering in, looking at signals. Gerke, here comes the pitch. He's going to pop one on the infield. Might drop in. Going to back up in the grass. Going to be caught by Gutwein. And Alex Schumer was there. He was going to dive for it. Hudson Gutwein makes the grab in right field shallow. So the Tigers pick up 1 run here in the bottom of the 3rd inning after 3 completes. Central Catholic, 6. Lebanon, 1. And we'll also mention tonight's ball game is in parts being brought to you by Camino and Company in downtown Noblesville. You can reach them online at camino-and-company.com. Camino and Company is a mobile flower shop brought to you by local flower farmers and providers, small business partners, and the Camino and Company founders. Their mascot is a 1984 El Camino. It's an El Camino SS, and it is owned by V.E. Witham. V.E. Witham is the grandpa of Carly Witham. She is the owner of Camino and Company. The goal at Camino and Company is to please each customer from their concept to the Camino and Company completion. Again, you can explore their website at camino-and-company.com. They are now booking 2025 brides. So stepping into bat for the Knights. In the lineup, going to bat is Calvin Reisman. He wears number 13, Calvin Reisman, going to bat here in the top of the fourth inning. Wind up in the pitch from Dunshee above the zone, ball one. Luke Dunshee going the distance so far, pitching here in the fourth inning. Working from the windup, 1 foot on, 1 foot off. Here comes the pitch. He'll try a tricky swing, and he will. Pitch is just inside, called a ball. 2 balls, no strikes. Peering in, looking at signals. Luke Dunshee out of the windup. Here's the pitch. Outside half, knee high, called strike. 2 balls, 1 strike. He'll step back in. Reisman didn't get a lot of action a year ago. Stepping in here in the fourth inning. Pitch comes in high and tight. Ball 3. 3 balls, 1 strike. Step back on the rubber. 1 foot on, 1 foot off. Luke Dunshee, here comes the pitch to Reisman. Inside a ball. He'll draw a walk. He'll jog down to first base. And next batter in the lineup for the Knights will be number 9, Hudson Gutwein. He made that stab there in the grass for the final out in the bottom of the third inning in shallow right field. So peering over, looking out of the stretch. Now the set. Here's a pitch from Dunshee. Breaking pitch, perfectly placed to the righty, Hudson Gutwein. Thinks he's going to pitch from the windup. He's going to have to step off. We'll see if he does. Pitching from the windup. Dunshee will step off. Might have been a designated design play. That's not a bad play. No balls, 1 strike. Out of the set. Pickoff move. Steps off the back. Throws over to first base. Shelton applies a tag. Safe at first base is Reisman. Peering in, looking at signals. Out of the stretch. Now the set position. Pickoff move again. A little bit more vigorous on that toss over. Back safely is Reisman. No balls, 1 strike. Steps off the back. Keeps the ball in play. In his right hand. Steps back in. Looks over at first base out of the stretch. Here's the pitch from Gutwein. He's going to take one to left field. He's going to back up the left fielder. They're going to get over his head. He'll pick up the play on the bounce. The ball right there. That's Susong. Joe Susong made a good play there on the bounce over his head. Picked it up on a 1 hop. But Gutwein's still going to end up at second base. So going to be a timeout on the diamond. Timeout called right there. And coach going to walk out, talk with his pitcher and catcher. And again, we do thank you for tuning in. And they're going to go with a pitching change right here. Nobody out. Top of the fourth inning. Knights batting with the runner at second and third base. So we'll also mention this game is in part being brought to you by AGM Auto, LLC. At AGM Auto, you'll not only be treated with pure professionalism, you'll appreciate their state-of-the-art diagnostics and their up-to-date status of each of the AGM technicians. And AGM doesn't only work under the hood. AGM works toward the recovery and restoration of the many now beautiful cars which have now become showroom treasures, mechanically and cosmetically. To contact AGM Auto, LLC, you can dial them at 317-984-5283. That's 317-984-5283. They're only 1 mile west of Arcadia. That's about 45 minutes from here. So getting some warm-up tosses in the ball game to do the pitching is Willie Shelton. Willie Shelton wears number 14. He plays first base. Normally, he comes over to throw the baseball, pitch the baseball from the rubber. And the Knights have 2 aboard. getting some final warm-up tosses. They're getting some warm-up there on the infield at second base right there for the Tigers. Bryce Nelson throwing back and forth with the new first baseman. And that new first baseman moves over. Joe Susong moves over to first base. So getting some final warm-up tosses on the diamond. And working right there. Left-handed hurler, Willie Shelton. Willie Shelton listed as a pitcher. Willie Shelton also, as I tell you what, he's listed as a utility man. I know offensively, I was looking at his stats just a bit ago before the ball game. He played some freshman baseball last year. Got in the ball game offensively, 4 at-bats. I should say 3 official at-bats in 4 plate appearances. So the infield is going to be in. Ball's live in the batter's box, Alex Schumer. Breaking pitch in there for a strike. So Willie Shelton doing the pitching for the Tigers. Working out a stretch. Now the set pitch comes in. Breaking pitch. Schumer's going to pop one to center field. Going to come in quite a distance. Make the play is center fielder Owen Taylor. So Taylor retires Schumer on a high fly ball to shallow center field, pretty much behind the shortstop position. So with 1 out, stepping into bat, number 10, Lucas Gerke. Lucas Gerke, the 3-hitter, plays first base in this ball game out of a set position. Shelton checks second base, checks it again. Here comes the pitch. Short off the glove there. Going to get the umpire. He's okay. But the ball's thrown back in right there. Garrett Adams. I think they have a change at the catcher position too. We'll double check there. No, they do not. Garrett Adams, that was a wild pitch. He had to go chase it. Try to throw back to second baseman, or back to the first baseman, but no harm done there. But a run comes in to score. So runner at third base, stepping in, left-handed batter, Lucas Gerke. Out of a stretch, now the set position. Shelton, pitch comes in, ground ball. First base, you're going to bring it to the plate. Safe at home. And then trying to make the tag there was Garrett Adams. Hudson Gutwein beats the throw, standing up. So it's going to be a fielder's choice. Gerke is at first base. Lucas Gerke. And stepping into bat going to be number 11, Mikey Stapleton. Stapleton, 4-hitter for the Knights. Peering in, looking at signals out of the stretch. Now the set for Willie Shelton. Here's the pickoff move, first base. Pretty good velocity. Back safely is Lucas Gerke. So let's step back in the rubber. Willie Shelton. Where's number 14? Sophomore athlete. Out of a set position. Square in early is Stapleton. He'll pull the bat back and swing away. Foul ball, right side out of play. So Willie Shelton on the pitcher's mound for the Tigers. Stepping into bat, number 11, Stapleton, 0-1 count. Runner at first base is Lucas Gerke, modest lead, out of set. Long set, he'll check first base. Here comes the pickoff move again. Good play at first base to make the stop right there. That was Joe Susong. Susong switches over to first base. Peering in, looking at signals out of the stretch. Now the set. Here comes the pitch. Breaking pitch, back door, called strike. Garrett Adams couldn't hold the baseball. Dropped it, taken to second base. On the play was Gerke. So we'll step back in. No balls, 2 strikes. A backdoor curveball for a strike. Counts 0-2. Working out a stretch. Now the set. He'll check second base. Here comes the pitch. Inside half. Going to strike him out. Had him jammed up, had him locked up right there. A good pitch by Shelton. 2 out here in the top of the 4th inning. Stepping into bat for the Knights is number 33, DJ Gilkey. Gilkey batting in the 5th position. Playing third base. And a timing play here with 2 outs, runner at second base for the umpires. Out of the set, here comes the pitch. You're going to take one over, going to go to center field, going to get by the gloves, trying to catch the ball on a short hop with center fielder Owen Taylor. It's going to be a slide-in double and an RBI. Scoring from third base is Gerke from second base. And it's going to be an RBI double off the bat of DJ Gilkey. So 3 runs in here in the 4th inning for the Knights. In the batter's box, going to be number 3, Jackson Kane, getting some final signals from Coach Bourdonnais. Runner at second base is DJ Gilkey. Peering in, looking at signals out of the stretch. Willie Shelton checks second. Out of the set, pitch comes in. Going to go behind Jackson Kane. Going to be a short hop. Going to be picked up back the dugout. Garrett Adams. Runner moves over to third base. DJ Gilkey. So right-handed batter Jackson Kane steps back in. Working from the stretch. Peering in, looking at signals. Willis Shelton. Long peer. Now out of the set position. Here comes the pitch. Inside half. Strike called. Count goes 1-1. 1-1 strike. He'll step back in. Jackson Kane facing the lefty. That's Willis Shelton. Here comes the pitch. Almost identical pitch. Inside half. Knee high. Strike called. Might have been below the kneecaps, but they like the kneecap, below the kneecaps. That's definitely a hittable pitch. Would rather have to swing at that than an upward swing. Pitch comes in. He's going to take one skyward. Be popped up on the infield. Phillippe's going to call for it. He'll make another catch on the right side of second base. That's the shortstop, Jamil Philippe. So the Knights are out of the inning. Knights leave 1 aboard. Knights come up with 3 runs at the top of the 4th inning. After 3.5, it's a 9-1 contest. And the Lebanon Tigers coming to the plate. And we'll also mention this game is in part being brought to you by McCormick Printing. Before we dive back into action, we want to spotlight a business that's been printing success in our community for 50 incredible years. McCormick Printing Impressions. From business cards to banners, t-shirts, and office supplies, MPI is your local full-service print shop, delivering quality, great service, and creativity in every project. Family owned and operated for 2 generations, MPI knows that your first impression matters. So make sure it's a good one. Next time you need something printed with perfection, turn to MPI, because at McCormick Printing Impressions, they don't just print, they help you make your best impression. That's McCormick Printing in Tipton. So on the pitcher's rubber, taking some throws right now, getting warmed up. Knight's going to go with number 28, Tatum Adriano. Adriano, a 5'9" freshman, steps on the rubber right there, getting some warm-up tosses. Working right there with Cooper Renback. And the Knights throwing the ball around the infield. And should also mention Mr. Muffins. Mr. Muffins Trains and Hobby Show. Train and Hobby Show going to happen tomorrow and Saturday. That'll be at the Tipton County Fairgrounds. Tipton County Fairgrounds, Mr. Muffins Train and Hobby Show. So stepping in to bat for the Lebanon Tigers, going to be number 19, Jackson Cadle. Jackson Cadle, he's the DH in the ballgame. Playing defensively for him is the catcher, Garrett Adams. Here comes the first pitch from Adriano. Fastball, and called a strike. Outside edge, called strike. And Adriano has some velocity. Right-handed batter's box, Jackson Cadle. Pretty good sized young man is Cadle. Couple couple big guys meeting up right here on the pitcher's rubber and in the batter's box. Pitch comes in a ball, one strike. They step back in. In step, open stance for Cadle. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Swung on, foul ball, right side out of play. That was a line shot. That's going to travel a long way. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Steps back in, Jackson Cadle. Where's number 19? Working from the windup, Adriano. Here's the pitch. Going to be a foul ball in the box here. Going to get him in the leg. He's okay. And no apparatus on that left lower leg. He'll feel it, but not much. He's a good-sized young man. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Home plate umpire checking on him, giving him some time. And he smirks, umpire does, when he steps back behind the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Working from the windup, Tatum, Adriano. Here comes the pitch. Outside half, strike called. Adriano sets him down looking, and there's 1 out here in the bottom of the fourth.
Number 5, Riley.
Stepping into bat, number 5. Number 5 is going to be Riley Smith. Riley Smith, listed as an infielder and a pitcher. Here comes the wind and the pitch from Adriano. Low for ball 1. Fastball, pretty good velocity from Adriano. 1 ball, no strikes. On deck for the Lebanon Tigers is 13, Andrew Kaler. Pitch comes in low and inside. 2 balls, no strikes. Steps back in. 1 foot on the rubber, 1 foot off. Pitching from the windup. Here comes the wind and the pitch from Adriano. Knee high, strike called. Count goes 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike. Steps back on the rubber. Tatum, Adriano. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Knee high strike with a fastball. Count goes 2-2. 2-2, 1 out. Bottom of the fourth inning. Working from the windup, Tatum, Adriano. Here comes the pitch. It's going to be a ground ball. Foul. It's going to be fair. Right inside the bag there. Good glove by Gerke. Initially off the glove, picks it back up, tags a base. But a pretty good shot right there off the bat of Riley Smith.
Number 13, Andrew Kaler.
Next batter will step in, as mentioned. Number 13, Andrew Taylor. Andrew Taylor batting as a true freshman. He's not in college, but he's a true freshman. And that situation sometimes is a situation. He's handling it very well. First pitch, swing and a miss. Working from the windup. Here comes the pitch. Healthy cut, swing and a miss. Taylor, left-handed batter. He'll step back in. Working from the windup, Tatum, Adriano. Here comes the wind and the pitch. And it'll be a foul tip off the swing there in the glove. And the Knights get out of the inning. And after 4 complete innings, here at Lebanon, Central Catholic 9, Lebanon 1. And then we do thank you for tuning in. And we'll also mention bringing you this contest is Honey Creek Resort. What a beautiful place to be. Plan your vacation or maybe a weekend getaway. Honey Creek Resort with 840 acres of fantastic nature, fun, and creation and recreational adventures are only a 1-day's drive away. That's Honey Creek Resort in southern Iowa, where fellow Hoosiers Beth and Terry Henderson have an amazing lodge and cabins with fabulous fishing, boating, golfing, horse carriages, and much more. Truly amazing adventures and hospitality await you at honeycreekresort.com. Make your group, business, and family getaway reservations today. You can reach them by phone at 641-724-1234
This is your
1450.
last call for concessions.
So that's Honey Creek Resort, 641-724-1450. Stepping in at bat for the Knights. Number 41, Brennan Van Kirk. Brennan Van Kirk, 7-hitter for the Knights.
Batting
Has
first,
himself
number 41,
a,
Brennan
a
Van Kirk.
hit in the ball game. He'll step in, end up at second base. So pitching here in the fifth inning is Willie Shelton, left-handed hurler. Here comes the pitch. Backdoor curveball in there for a strike. Willie Shelton. Willie Shelton, a member of the sophomore class. Appearing in, looking at signals. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Another strike. Lets it go by. 0-2 count to Brennan Van Kirk, right-handed batter. Appearing in, looking at signals. Willie Shelton. Shelton, 2 feet on the rubber. Long pier there. Here comes the wind and the 0-2 pitch. Ground ball. Going to go up the middle of the infield. Picked up by Philippi. Philippi throws a sidearm throw on the run to first base. One hop. And fielded right there by Susong. That's Joe Susong, the first baseman. First baseman, basically his job is to take away the air from the infield throws, and he did just that right there. So stepping in, Tatum Adriano, right-handed batter. Willie Shelton, here comes the pitch. Swung on, ground ball, third base, fielded by Smith. You throw across the diamond, and he'll get the put out. With Willie Shelton, there are 2 out here in the top of the fifth inning. So still in the ball game, going to bat again. That's number 13, Calvin Reisman. Reisman, 6'1", 155, right-handed batter.
13, Cal Reisman.
So we'll step in, tap the plate. Working from the windup, Willie Shelton. Here's the pitch. Backdoor curveball, outside edge, called strike. No balls, 1 strike. Taps the plate. Right-handed batter, Calvin Reisman. Facing the lefty, Willie Shelton. Swung on, ground ball, just foul, third base line. Can be picked up by the left fielder. And he'll throw it back in the dugout area. He'll jog back out and take his position. Tapping the plate, Calvin Reisman. Working from the windup, Willie Shelton. There are 2 out. 0-2 count. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Swing and a miss. He'll go down swinging. And the Tigers are out of the inning here in the top of the fifth inning. Knights come up with no runs. And we'll go to the bottom of the fifth inning. The Knights in front, 9-1. Knights and the Tigers going at it right here. Second game, I should say third game for the Knights. And first game of the season. We know that Lebanon Tigers were on spring break last week. First ball game here of the season. And tell you what, it's all that we thought it would be. It's not a bad game. We'll mention this game is also in parts being brought to you by Fritz and Fishers. Fritz in Noblesville, celebrating 43 years in business. In the heart of the Nickel Plate District, they have late model cars and trucks, each vehicle pre-delivery inspection. 2 Hamilton County locations. You can go to fritzandfishers.com. That's Fishers, Indiana, 8599 East 116th Street. You can dial them up at 317-842-2228 at their Fishers location. At their Noblesville location on State Road 32, you can dial them up at 317-773-2232. That's fritzandfishers.com. FRITZ. So the Knights throw the ball around the infield. They put it in the glove of Tatum Adriano. And stepping into bat for the Lebanon Tigers is the 9-hitter, Willie Shelton. Shelton got himself aboard last time up, the base hit. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Outside half, knee high, called strike. No balls, 1 strike. He'll step back in, tap the plate. Think about it. Willie Shelton drew a walk and they scored the run. Here comes the wind and the pitch from Adriano. Healthy cut, swing and a miss. So left-handed batter, Willie Shelton, first baseman at the moment. Here comes the wind and the pitch from Adriano. Checks his swing, ball outside. Not going to ask for a check by the umpire. Difficult call, and umpires down the first baseline. Left-handed batter. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Working from the windup. Tatum, Adriano. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Swing and a miss. And he'll go down swinging. There's 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Top of the order for the Tigers.
Next batter going to step in, Owen Taylor. Owen Taylor going to step in. Going to bat here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Right-handed batter. Working out of the windup. Tatum, Adriano. Here's the pitch. Pitch comes in low. Short hops the glove. Renback blocks it. Picks it up laterally to his right. So stepping back in, 24, Owen Taylor. Center fielder for the Tigers. Here comes the wind and the 1-0 pitch. Ball low. Count goes 2-0. First hitter in the lineup for the Lebanon Tigers, Owen Taylor. Here comes the wind from Tatum Adriano and the pitch. Swing and a miss. Count goes 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike. He'll step back in. Right-handed batter, right-handed pitcher. Here's the pitch. Upstairs, swing and a miss. Count goes 2-2. Owen Taylor, as mentioned, as a sophomore a year ago, he scored 9 runs. Plate appearances 40, 32 at-bats. Pitch comes in tight for ball 3. 3 balls, 2 strikes. He'll step back in. Full count. Adriano picks up the signal. Out of the wind, here's the pitch to Taylor. High for ball 4. He'll jog down. Actually, he sprints to first base. And runner aboard is the lead hitter, leadoff hitter for the Tigers. The first batter in the lineup, Owen Taylor. Next batter to the plate for the Tigers, number 4, Joe Susong. Joe Susong, as senior class member. Susong, as a junior, got in 11 ball games. And here comes the pitch. Low and outside, ball 1. Susong got in 11 ball games last year. 12 plate appearances, 11 at-bats. He scored 2 runs. He'll step back in. Right-handed batter. Peering in, looking at signals. Out of the stretch. Tatum Adriano out of the set position. And here, Adriano in the pitch. Right across the dish. Plate, strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 hitter for the Tigers, Joe Susong. So he'll step back in. Out of the set position. Susong now playing the first base position. Pitch comes in, outside half, strike called. Head first slide on the steal attempt, and he's safe at second. Throw was good. Tag was applied by Gutwein. And it's safe at second, Owen Taylor. A stolen base. 2-1 count. 2 hitter, Joe Susong. Out of the set position, Adriano. Here comes the pitch. Full swing, foul ball, left side. Shot right there, bounces into the Tiger dugout. They try to make a stab at it. 2-2 count. Right-handed batting, number 4, Joe Susong. We'll break in the action right here. A little time. Giving everybody a chance to recollect. He'll step in. 1-2 count. 1 out. Out of the stretch, now the set. Check second base. Adriano. Here comes the pitch. Foul ball. Out of play, right side. He'll stay in the box again at a 1-2 count. Joe Susong, two-hitter. Peering in, looking at signals, out of the stretch. Tatum Adriano out of the set. Check second. Here comes a 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. And he'll walk back to the dugout. There's 2 outs here on the diamond. Bottom of the 5th inning.
Tigers, number 2, Bryce Nelson.
Tigers have one aboard, second base, Owen Taylor. Stepping into bat, 3-hitter. Bryce Nelson. Out of set position, Tatum Adriano. Here comes the pitch. Low and inside. Good block once again by Cooper Renback. 1 ball, no strikes. Adriano steps in the rubber. Takes a signal from Renback out of the set position, checks second base. Here's the pitch. Low for a ball. Good block right there. Block was good on a short hop thrown by Adriano. Cooper Renback, by the time he picks it up off the surface, safe at third base is Owen Taylor. So Tigers have runner at third base. 2 outs. In the batter's box, Bryce Nelson. Out of the set. Here comes the pitch. Outside half, strike called. Knee-high pitch. 2 balls, 1 strike. He'll step back in, tap the plate, far and near. Step back in the rubber. Working out a stretch, now the set. Righty facing a righty. Here comes the 2-1 pitch. High above the zone, ball 3. 3-1 count on deck is the 4-hitter, Jamil Philippi. 3-1 count. Back in the rubber. Adriano out of set position. Here comes the 3-1 pitch. Foul ball, skimmed it. Back to the screen. 3-2 count. 3-2 count. He'll step back in. 2 outs. Runner at third base, Owen Taylor. Owen Taylor stole second base. Ends up at third. Out of the set, Adriano. And here comes the 3-2. Outside. They're going to call it a strike. They're going to call it a strike, and he'll set down. That'll be out number 3 here in the bottom of the 5th. 3-2 pitch for a strike. After 5 completes, Knights 9, Tigers 1. Knights going to bat in the top of the 6th inning. And we also want to thank you for our sponsor. We'll mention this game is in part being brought to you by Scott G. Scott G. When time is good, when you share, you should. Share and share alike. Support Indiana middle school and high school athletics. Scott G. Also bringing you tonight's contest is Discount Copies. Discount Copies, conveniently located at the west edge of Noblesville, Indiana, 46062. Just behind Pizza Hut and next to Bowl 32. Along State Road 32 at Discount Copies, they provide set-up services where you can turn your artwork into things such as note cards, notepads, prints, and calendars. If you're planning a wedding, they can print all of your printing needs. You can reach Discount Copies at 317-773-8783, 317-773-8783, or by Gmail, discountcopies96@gmail.com. Stepping into bat, number 9, Hudson Gutwein. First pitch, he'll take it to center field. Going to back up to center field, or he'll veer to his right. He'll make the catch. That's Owen Taylor, out number 1 here in the top of the 6th inning. So next batter in the lineup, we're going to see Gus Sandberg. Gus Sandberg going to bat here in the top of the 6th inning. Right-handed batter. Gus Sandberg played in the last game. He batted once. Gus Sandberg, right-handed batter's box. He'll step in as the home plate umpire makes the adjustment on his miniature stenographer's pad. They do a lot of work. He's a lefty. So he'll step in, right-handed batter. Number 14, Willie Shelton doing the pitching, left-handed pitcher. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Low, outside, ball one. 1 ball, no strikes. Sandberg steps back in. Working from the windup, Willie Shelton, sophomore pitcher. Here comes the pitch. Inside and tight, ball two. So Gus Sandberg, right-handed batter, wearing the batter's gloves. Batting gloves, right-handed batter. Here comes the pitch from Shelton. Healthy cut, skims it back to the screen. Foul ball. Foul tip back to the screen. Count goes 2-1. Gus Sandberg going to look for signals. None given. He'll step back in. 2-1 count. Working from the windup. Willie Shelton. Here comes the pitch. You're going to drive one out of play right side. Knights have bullpen activity down the right field line as Keegan McCarter getting some tosses in. So 2-2 count. Peering in, looking at signals. Willie Shelton. In the batter's box, Gus Sandberg. Here's the pitch. Pitch comes in. Called strike. Kind of locked him up. So Sandberg walks back to the dugout. There's 2 outs here in the 6th inning.
Next LCC batter.
So stepping in the batter's box, number 10, Lucas Gerke. Gerke with that apparatus on that front elbow. Peering in, looking at signals, Willie Shelton. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Inside half, strike called. No balls, 1 strike, taps the plate. Lucas Gerke, the first baseman for the Knights. Here comes the wind and the pitch. High and tight. Ball 2. I take that back. Ball 1. Count goes 1-1. Peering in, looking at signals. Willie Shelton. Here comes the wind and the 1-1 pitch. Outside of ball. Might have been a breaking pitch. Willie Shelton comes over to pitch in relief of Luke Dunshee. In short relief, here comes the pitch. Swing and a miss. Lucas Gerke. Count goes 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Top of the 6th inning. Shelton, now the windup. Here's the pitch. Outside half, fastball. Takes Gerke down looking. So strike 3, and the Knights are retired here in the top of the 6th inning. And at the end of 5.5, Knights 9, Tigers 1. And we do thank you for tuning in. And we'll mention this game is being brought to you in part by Lisa Stokes Bear, Century 21, a real estate IQ that will work for the benefit of you. Lisa specializes in residential and corporate relocations. A vast knowledge with more than 25 years of question answering experience. Let Lisa look or let Lisa list. Each home is precious. Lisa Stokes Bear, Century 21, Sheets Company, highly recommended real estate agent and real estate broker. To contact Lisa Stokes Bear by phone or by text message, 317-513-4086. That's 317-513-4086. So the Knight's going to throw the ball around the infield. It's going to end up in center field shallow. And it's going to be picked up by Hudson Gutwein. And at the plate, we're going to see stepping in here in the bottom of the 6th inning, number 7, Jamil Philippi. Jamil Philippi. Tell you what, he's a real deal. He's going to step in. Shortstop, plays well. And he's going to put that right foot, get it planted in that batter's box. Right-handed batter's box facing Tatum Adriano. Here comes the wind, first pitch inside. Home plate umpire thought about a strike. As an umpire at home plate, you're thinking strike, strike, strike for each pitch until it's proven to be a ball. Pitch comes in, ground ball, third base, going to be fielded there by Gilkey. He'll throw across the diamond. He'll get the put out with Lucas Gerke. There's one out here in the bottom of the sixth inning. Next batter going to step in for the Tigers, number 8, Nate Coons. Nate Coons plays right field for the Tigers. Right-handed batter facing the righty, Tatum Adriano. Adriano going to step off the back of the rubber. Timeout is called. Bullpen might have had a baseball loose. Everything's fine now. He'll step back in. Number 8, Tate Coons. First pitch to Coons. He's going to foul one back out of play. Pretty good swing right there. Right on time, Nate Coons, right fielder. Count goes 0-1. Nate Coons going to step back in. Here comes the pitch from Adriano. High for ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. He'll step in. A little bit of an open stance on the instep. Here comes a 1-1 pitch. He's going to drive one skyward to left field. Shortstop giving it a chase, Mikey Stapleton, but it's going to be caught in left field. And right there, that catch made by Brennan Van Kirk. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Stepping into bat for the Tigers is number 19, Jackson Cadle. Jackson Cadle, the DH in the ball game for the Tigers. Right-handed batter facing the righty, Tatum. Adriano, here comes the pitch. Outside half, strike called. No balls, 1 strike. Peering in, looking at signals. Adriano out of the windup. Here comes the pitch from Adriano. Breaking pitch in there for a strike. Count goes 0-2. He'll step back in. 19, Jackson Cadle. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Inside and low, ball 1. Good block right there by Renback. He'll ask for a new baseball. You get some dirt in the seams that sometimes they want a new baseball. They want a major league ball game. They go through some baseballs in a ball game. Peering in, looking at signals. Here comes the wind and the 1-2 pitch. Going to short hop the catcher's glove. Going to get by Renback back to the screen. Renback going to jog back and hand deliver a baseball to the pitcher, Adriano. So actually, Adriano getting a baseball from coach right there. That's number 21, AJ Bourdonnais. Tosses one back. 2-2 count, 2 outs. Stepping into bat, number 19, Jackson Cadle. Working from the windup, peering over the glove. Here comes the wind and the 2-2 pitch. Ground ball, shortstop. Fielded by Stapleton. Strong arm throw to first base. He'll get the out with the put out made by Lucas Gerke. And the Tigers are retired. And the Tigers will play defensively in the 7th inning after 6 completes. Knights 9, Tigers 1. And then we'll mention this game is also in part being brought to you by Noblesville Trophies. Noblesville Trophies. You can shop them online at noblesvilletrophies.com or stop in, if only to browse around. 1740 South 10th Street, Noblesville, Indiana. Trophies, awards, plaques, and more. Fast turnaround. Prices are low. Prices are so low you may want to be a repeat customer. Noblesville Trophies, 1740 South 10th Street, Noblesville, Indiana, 46060. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can reach them by phone at 317-773-7391. Again, that's 317-773-7391. Or you can find them online at noblesvilletrophies.com. So I'm going to throw one down to second base off the hand of Garrett Adams. Knight's going to bat here in the top of the 7th inning. Stepping into bat, going to be number 11.
For LCC, number 11.
Number 11, Mikey Stapleton. Right-handed batter, bats in the 4 spot. Back on the pitcher's rubber, Willie Shelton. Number 14, left-handed hurler. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Breaking pitch, perfectly placed, back door. Strike called. No balls, 1 strike. Appear in, look at signals. Shelton with the wind and the pitch. Fouled back, out of play. Gutwein goes down on the count, 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes. Step back on the rubber, left-handed pitcher, Willie Shelton. Working the wind up. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Outside of ball. Shelton with some velocity on that pitch. Count goes 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here comes the wind and the pitch. You're going to take one to center field. Fly ball. Pretty much right at him. He'll come in to make the catch about 3 or 4 steps. Owen Taylor makes the catch. There's 1 out here in the top of the 7th. Next batter going to step in for the Knights. 33, DJ Gilkey. DJ Gilkey, third baseman. He's got a hit in this ball game. He started the ball game with the best average for the Knights, batting average. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Pitch comes in a bit low, ball 1. Back on the rubber, Willie Shelton peering in, looking at signals. Working out the wind up. Here's the pitch. He's going to drive one. Pop it up. It's going to be near the infield. It might be foul. It'll be playable by the first baseman. Might have been a fair ball, might have been a foul ball, but the catch was made by number 4, Joe Susong, the first baseman. There are 2 out. So next batter going to step in, number 3, Jackson Kane. Jackson Kane going to step in. Tap the plate far and near. Working from the windup, Willie Shelton. Here comes the pitch. Backdoor curveball, misses outside. A backdoor curveball, that means he's pitching away from the batter. It climbs its way back in towards the batter, trying to get that outside edge. Here comes the pitch. Inside low, ball 2. That's why Pete Rose switch hit and all these guys switch hit. Eddie Murray hit the most home runs as a switch hitter in the MLB. Here comes the pitch from Shelton. Foul ball, going to go back to the screen. So ball back to the screen. Count goes 2-1. Get a new baseball. And step back behind the rubber and step back on. That's 14. Willie Shelton. 2 balls, 1 strike. Here's the pitch. High for ball 3. 3 balls, 1 strike. 2 outs. Top of the 7th inning. Step back in. Jackson Kane, Willie Shelton, 2 feet on. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Inside for ball 4. Jackson Kane going to jog to first base. Ball gets loose. Garrett Adams tracks it down. And Jackson Kane will stay at first base. Next batter in the lineup for the Knights, number 41, Brennan Van Kirk. Van Kirk playing the left field position. A few signals given by Coach Bordnay at third base. Right-handed batter's box. Peering in, looking at signals. Out of the stretch, now the set. Willie Shelton, pickoff move. First base, back standing up is Kane. Kane going to put the sliding mitt on and step back in the batter's box. Right-handed batter, Brennan Van Kirk. Oh, he's going to think about the windup. He's going to step off. And he might have just got away with one right there. So out of the set position, here comes the pitch. Pitch comes in, strike called. So no balls, 1 strike. Working from the stretch, Willie Shelton will step back in. 41, Brennan Van Kirk. Out of the set position and check first base. Here comes the pitch. Ground ball. Will be fielded by Philippi. Shortstop, he'll throw to first base. He'll get the put out, and that will end the top of the 7th inning. Knights are set down after drawing a walk And I'm trying to steal second on the play. There was Kane, the Knights, and the Tigers getting ready to Night Tigers getting ready to bat here in the bottom of the seventh inning. At the end of 6.5, Knights 9, Tigers 1. So they're going to work on the diamond right there. And we'll also mention this game is in part being brought to you by Reynolds Farm Equipment, family owned and operated since 1955. Increase your yield. Tractors, combines, corn pickers, lawnmowers, etc. Genuine John Deere equipment. New and used equipment available. Extraordinarily the best in the business. Reynolds, visit us at their Atlanta location. They're located at 1451 East 276th Street, Atlanta, Indiana, 46031. They're 2 miles, just 2 miles south of 296th Street, and that's the Tipton-Hamilton County line right there on US 31. They have 5 locations. You can reach Reynolds Farm Equipment by dialing 800 333 6947. That's 800 333 6947. To reach the Atlanta store right there on 31, you can dial 317 758 4116. That's 317 758 4116. So getting some warm-up tosses. They're going to throw one down to second base. Doing the pitching for the Knights is number 27, Keegan McCarter, 6 foot 143. He's a sophomore. He'll take the ball now at the pitcher's rubber from the infield. And stepping in once again, going to be number 5, Riley Smith. Riley Smith put one right down the first baseline last time up. It was a scorcher, but it was gloved by Gerke. Here comes the first pitch from McCarter. Pitch comes in low for ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes. Peering in, looking at signals. McCarter, here comes the wind and the pitch. Low for a ball. Count goes 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes. Keegan McCarter, right-handed pitcher for the Knights. Steps back in, Riley Smith. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Breaking pitch finishes high above the glove. Right there, count goes 3-0. Behind home plate now doing the catching for the Knights is number 28, Tatum Adriano. Here comes the 3-0 pitch from McCarter. Strike called, outside half. McCarter pitching from a stretch. Pitching from a stretch, primarily a relief pitcher. Working from a stretch, now the set. Here comes the 3-1 pitch. Swung on and take one to the outfield. Going to back up the center fielder. He'll veer to his right. And the catch is made. Vince Talenko. There's 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. So they give the ball back to McCarter. Keegan McCarter. Going to get some saliva on that right hand. He'll wipe off. It's all good. So working from the windup. First pitch from McCarter. Strike called. In the batter's box, again, is number 13, Andrew Kaler. Freshman athlete, outfielder, and a pitcher. He's a left-handed batter. Working from the windup, Keegan McCarter. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Outside half, knee high, called strike. Count goes 0-2. McCarter going to step back in. McCarter back in the rubber. In the batter's box is Kaler. Here comes the pitch. He's going to drive one out of play. Left side, foul ball. No balls, 2 strikes, 0-2 count to Andrew Kaler. Steps back in the batter's box. Peering over the glove, working from the windup, Keegan McCarter for the Knights. Long set right there, I should say, from the windup. Here comes the pitch. Ground ball. Going to go left side. Mikey Stapleton, a shortstop. He'll field it. He'll throw across the diamond, get the put out with Lucas Gerke. There's 2 outs here in the 7th inning. Next batter going to step in. It's going to be Willie Shelton. Willie Shelton, pitcher of record, left-handed batter. Willie Shelton. He is Willie Shelton the fourth. He'll step in, left-handed batter's box. And then on the pitcher's rubber in the wind-up position. 1 foot on, 1 foot off. Peering over the glove, getting signals. Here comes the wind and the pitch. Inside, ball 1. Steps back in. Peering over the glove. Willie Shelton, the batter. Pitcher is Keegan McCarter. Pitch comes in, tall and outside. 2 balls, no strikes. 2-0 count to Shelton. McCarter peers over the glove. Here comes the wind and the 2-0 pitch. Short hops the glove. There's good block and good stop on the short hop by Adriano, the catcher. 3 balls, no strikes. We're going to work from the stretch. Going to go to the stretch again. Keegan McCarter out of the set. Here comes the pitch. Pitch comes in high above the zone, ball 4. So a 4-pitch walk for Willie Shelton. And stepping into bat, we're going to see again number 24, Owen Taylor. Taylor is the one hitter. Okay to say one hitter from here, but not always appreciated for the PA. And Joe's doing a heck of a job. So here comes the pitch. Short hops the glove. Adriano. So 1 ball, no strikes. 2 outs in the batter's box. 24, Owen Taylor. Owen Taylor playing a good center field. And a pretty good bat speed. Got himself aboard today. Out of the set position, here comes the pitch. Outside edge, strike called. 1 ball, 1 strike. You're going to step back in the rubber. Going to pitch from the stretch. Peering in, looking at signals. Keegan McCarter. Runner at first base is Willie Shelton. Here comes the pitch. Outside a ball. 2-1 count. 2 balls, 1 strike on deck. Number 4, Joe Susong for the Tigers. Peering in, looking at signals. Out of the stretch, now the set. Carter McKeegan. Here comes the pitch. Outside half, strike called. Count goes 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. McCarter steps back in the rubber. Owen Taylor, first batter in the lineup for the Tigers. Here comes the pitch. You're going to take a ground ball, second base. Will be fielded right there by Gutwein. He'll throw to first base. Lucas Gerke, they'll get the put out. And that will complete today's ball game. Final score here today, Central Catholic 9, Tigers of Lebanon 1. And we do thank you for tuning in. And we'll mention Knights and the Tigers shaking hands right there by home plate. And Tigers, first game of the season after a spring break, played pretty well indeed. And we thank you for tuning in. The Knights will have a game tomorrow. It'll be a makeup game with Twin Lakes. The Knights will play Twin Lakes at Central Catholic tomorrow evening. That's a 6 o'clock start. And we'll mention, no matter if you're home or away, if you're doing the teaching and the learning, don't let him go. Keep the fire burning.
Thank you. Try my best.